We live in a culture of fear, and this should be painfully obvious to anyone who's even the slightest bit woke. You know, whatever happened to giving people the benefit of the doubt? You know, basically thinking that your friends and neighbors were good. I mean, they might have some flaws, they might have some sins, you know, everybody does, but at heart they're basically good people. You know, whatever happened to like giving people the benefit of the doubt? I think the benefit of the doubt died when 9/11 happened. It died the first time that Charles Manson got plastered all over the papers, Son of Sam got plastered all over the papers, and thus the serial killer was born. It died when the first terrorist, media terrorist darling, was born. It died when there started being a school or a public shooting every other month, every other week. And in my opinion, probably most of these things, 2001 onward, 90% of them were false flags. 9/11 was an inside job, obviously. It wasn't just Bush, you know, trying to, you know, preserve oil reserves over in the Middle East, and so we had to take out Osama bin Laden. It was deeper than that. It was satanic Illuminati. It was NWO agenda. And all these false flags, the obvious conspiracy theorist conclusion from these false flags is that they're there to take away your guns. I mean, that's pretty obvious. But in my opinion, the other point of all these false flags, all these public shootings every other week, all these terrorist attacks, all these suspected serial killers, this, that, and the other, it's to weaken your trust in your fellow man to such an extent that you're constantly looking over your shoulder, you can't trust anybody. They want you distrusting all of your fellow man instead of distrusting who you should be distrusting, and that's them. The government, the elites, the Illuminati, they're the ones you should be distrusting, but they want you thinking that they're your knights in shining armor, and that's why they're always warning you of terrorists. That's why they're always warning you of, look for the warning signs of who could be your neighbor, your friend could be the next terrorist. Your friend and neighbor could be an Islamic extremist. If you see something, say something. And it's like, but like, see what? Like anything could be interpreted as like bad or criminal. It's like, yeah, I saw my neighbor wearing his hat sideways instead of backwards or frontwards. I was like, what the fuck is he doing? I was like, that's strange. You might be an Islamic terrorist or a school shooter or something else bad. If everyone else is wearing their hats backwards or forwards and you wear yours sideways, that's too different. That means you're an oddball. That means you're mentally ill and therefore susceptible. Most likely you're gonna do something terrible. Yeah, you might be an evil person if you do something that deviates too much from the social norms. So yeah, basically anything can be interpreted as basic, you know, and part of it is also this narrative of they're wanting you to distrust, you know, the common people around here. I mean, there's really when it's all said and done, there's really only two types of people. There's the elites, the so-called 1%. You know, but there's the 1% too, and then there's like the Rothschilds and stuff who are like the real 1%. But really, there's the elites, and there's everyone else. And so it doesn't matter, you know, if you prefer to spend your time watching football all the time, or if you prefer to be an avant-garde experimental artist, or you prefer to be a fashion designer, or what the fuck ever. I mean, that's basically all of us when it comes down to it. There's the elites and there's everyone else. And the elites are always trying to put fear into us to be afraid of everyone around us instead of being afraid of them, because they're the real enemy. So all these terrorist attacks, all these false flag shootings, all this shit is just a concerted effort to make you be afraid of your friends and neighbors.
Okay, I wanted to make a side note here, a side video. Because I think the whole Islamic terrorist issue is pretty complicated. And I kind of have a mixed view on it. So the typical view is either you got the left, who say that Islam is not a problem, and that we shouldn't worry about it, and that most of these Islamic attacks are false flags. Okay? And then most people on the right say that Islam is a problem, it's an oppressive religion, they're oppressive towards homosexuals and women, and that Islamic terrorism is a real thing, it is a real problem. My opinion is somewhere in the middle. I think that, and I'm not entirely sure if Islam is like this, but there definitely is a large faction of it that is oppressive towards women and homosexuals and so on and so forth. And I'm sure there probably are some fringe elements that are violent. However, I think that ISIS, and I think that ISIS is basically the CIA. We've all seen those videos where ISIS was beheading in front of a green screen, and other things that suggest that the ISIS is actually black ops or CIA. So I tend to believe that, actually, and I think it would be consistent with the narrative of previous wars, such as 9/11, that to keep us in a perpetual state of endless war, which serves a multi-purpose agenda to divide and conquer various countries, and also just to further take freedoms away from Americans, which is why 9/11 happened, so that the Patriot Act could be established. And that was the godfather of all this NSA spying and all these various other horse shit that we have today. So I think that this war with ISIS is really just a continuation of that. And in that sense, I side with the left about that. However, I don't agree with them that, you know, Islam is just an innocent religion. Like I said, I do believe there are definitely oppressive aspects towards women and homosexuals and what have you. I just don't. But do I think that there's Islamic terrorists around every corner, Islamic boogeymen waiting to, like, you know, blow us up, radicalized Islamists waiting to hurt us? No, I don't. In fact, I think that there was one story, I think his name was Everett Jameson, who was supposedly going to go through, who was a radicalized Muslim white guy, and he was supposedly going to go through with an Islamic terror attack, but he didn't actually go through with it, and he tried to back out because basically the FBI found him and was trying to put him up to this. Basically, he was a patsy. Okay, and so I think that I don't feel the thing is like I think it's unusual that you have on the left that a lot of people on the left think that all these terror attacks from Muslims and what have you are false flags, but they think that all these shootings going on, these public shootings, these school shootings, are the real deal, are just like real, crazy people going on killing sprees. And the thought doesn't even occur to them that that might be a false flag as well. And then you have people on the right who think the opposite thing, who overwhelmingly believe that these school shootings, these public shootings are false flags, engineered to take your guns away and things like that. But they think that these Islamic terror attacks and ISIS is real. They don't think that those are false flags. And you have to kind of like, and I'm here like in the middle, thinking that, well, it makes the most sense that it's all false flags. You kind of have to step outside of your comfort zone and kind of take a centrist perspective in order to like come to that conclusion that all these school shootings, all these public shootings, and all these terror attacks, it's all false flags. Like the rest of this video I've been talking about, it's all designed to keep us in a perpetual state of fear, a perpetual state of negativity, and that fear breeds resentment and anxiety and other negativity. Diseases can manifest. I've been watching this positive affirmations video lately, where it's talking about anything that you think about in your reality becomes your reality. So if you think about negative things constantly, if you think about, what if I get hurt by a terrorist? What if I get hurt by a school shooter? What if I'm driving out in my car and I wreck my car? What if I get cancer? What if I get AIDS? And these constant things that you fear about, they become your reality. They manifest your reality. So I personally have a lot of anxieties myself that I've been trying to overcome by citing these various positive affirmations and things like that. And I can put a link below to one of these. I think it's create your own reality or something like that. Anyway, I'll post it down in the link below. But basically, I've been trying to put my input my mind with like more positive stuff, because I get caught up in a lot of this conspiracy stuff, and so, it can sort of like bring you down. But really, what's the best way to fight against that stuff is to take control of your own destiny. It's to take control of your own reality and to fight it with positivity, because in the end, our physical bodies are going to die. I mean, the government is pretty much all powerful. They've been pumping billions upon billions of dollars into the military-industrial complex since like the 60s. So, can we really fight something like that? I mean, it's up in the air. But one way you can fight spiritually, because our bodies aren't going to last. One way or the other, we're gonna see the grave. So it's like, if you can better yourself spiritually and karmically, that's how you fight back. That's the best way to fight back, honestly. I mean, I'm all for guns and all that stuff. If you personally feel it'll do any good, I don't know that it will, but I do know that you can fight back spiritually. And that's the way to do this. And one way of doing that is to fight back this culture of fear by being positive. Hey, what's up, guys? Just doing a little bit of a Andy Kaufman impersonation there. If you like that video, please won't you subscribe right here while my hands are doing this thing? Or also, you could check out another video or possibly a playlist up here. It's usually going to be some sort of alternative experimental conscious song, or it's going to be some sort of conscious comedy skit, or it's going to be a discussion. And right up here is pretty much the same thing. Okay, thank ya. Subscribe, bitches!